Welcome into the Dynasty lunch break. Man, we are back. It is Thursday afternoon, May 2nd. This is our first show post-draft. And man, what a fun NFL draft it was. There were some huge shocks, some big surprises, some twists, some turns, some teams that we thought were going to do one thing that did another, some teams that we thought would do anything that did nothing. Lots and lots to get to today. And then at some point randomly during the show, I'm going to say pause. We're going to stop everything. And we're going to hop into a mock draft. That's right. We did a mock draft right before the draft. So I thought, let's do a mock draft right after. Let's see what's shifted, what's changed. What's up, Mike? What's up, Jordan? How's it going, guys? Hopefully you guys are knee deep in rookie drafts. I'm sure many of you guys are already done with some of your rookie drafts at this point. Many of you are just getting going into that world as well. It says, while both speakers working, yes, big update, big surprise update. I diagnosed the problem, figured out what it was. So I was curious if both were going to work today. So glad to see that it is actually working. Jonathan's here, Zach's here, Josh is here, Christopher's here. Look, welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's good. It's time to hang out with the boys. This is the time to do that. My main squeeze, Jared Wackerly's here. It's good to have everyone back. So let's get into both speakers. Yep. Look, this is something to be excited about, guys. This is something to be excited about. Jared said, wow, you solved a tech issue. I'm so proud of you. Look, he's not being serious. He's being sarcastic. He thinks he's the only one that knows how to do things around here. Not true, my friend. I am a doer, not an asker. All right? I get stuff done, baby. Fork is in. Steven's here. Jacob's here. Jacob wants more mocks, as he should. Marcus is here. He said he just became a Nerd Herd member. Give him a round of applause. Best decision you've made all year, my friend Marcus. That's right. Get into that film room. Look at these prospects for yourself. Get an eye on them. Look at the nerd scores. The nerd scores so far, based on Draft Capital, worked out pretty well. One big specific one, people were talking about Troy Franklin as a first-round pick, top 5 wide receiver in this class. We had him, I think, as our nerd composite score. I want to say wide receiver 15. Like, he was low. He was very low. So go ahead and hop in there. Check some things out. Christopher said, if you were a contender, would you trade away Evan Ingram and Leggett for Mike Evans or Tank Dell? I'm leaning no, but curious on your thoughts. I would probably not. Evan Ingram, top 10 tight end for Dynasty fantasy football purposes. Leggett, a guy I really like. I would lean no, unless you're just crushing at tight end and you have no need for Evan Ingram. I would be more open to it, but it would be Tank Dell that I'd be targeting. Mike Evans, I don't think he's worth a first-round pick, whereas I guess Leggett's not going in the first, but he's value-wise to me in most drafts he would be a first-round pick. So that's my thoughts. Welcome to the Nerd Herd, Marcus. Porkchop said, this man saves money with the Walmart water clutch. Bro, look, I ain't playing around, all right? Look, this has been a crazy morning for your boy. This has been a crazy morning, all right? So we have people coming over tonight, and we have people coming over tomorrow night. So we have a really busy weekend. And yesterday, I had to find time to get the haircut, so I got the haircut. Then I had to find time to cut the grass, which means I also had to trim, and I had to blow all the grass and get it all raked up because it was getting pretty long because I was gone all weekend last weekend for the draft. So normally when I cut it is on Saturdays or things like that. So it was getting pretty long. So I woke up when the girls went to school. Wife took the girls to the school. So I'm outside mowing. All right. So I get the mowing done in time. But I had a video that you'll see coming out later today with Kyle Yates. So I had to come back in, get the video done with Kyle Yates, ran back outside, finished trimming, edging, getting it all raked up, hopped in the shower, got in here just in time. So, like, if you see little things drip down, it could be sweat. It could be water. It could be a combination of both. We don't know. So I'm definitely pounding the liquids to make sure that I don't get dehydrated over here as I'm talking to you guys. All right. Ladd or Worthy? I have Worthy just ahead of Ladd. You cannot go wrong. I think both guys are awesome selections, both deserving a first round draft capital in your rookie drafts, but I would take Worthy by a hair. Zach said, if you had a choice between May, JJ, and Bowers, who would you draft? League is going to superflex next year, and I have Mahomes and Kirk already. For me, it's Drake May. For the rest of the Nerd Herd crew, though, it was J.J. McCarthy. So I don't think you can go wrong. I think all three of those guys are good. But for me, Drake May is the option that I would be going with here. Let's see. Kurt says, what's the best spot to draft from in a startup? That's an awesome question. And I think every year it does change a little bit, depending on the year, depending on the quarterbacks. For me right now, I like the top end more than I like going from the end. I like the first two picks quite a bit because I want Mahomes or Josh Allen. So I take the second because I don't really care which one I get. I think both are really incredible. If you're not going that route, I think anywhere then from, if you don't care about getting the tippy top, I think guys like Justin Herbert are a good value right now that you can get at the end of the first. So if you don't care about the tippy top, then you can take a Justin Herbert and then come around and get a CeeDee Lamb or an Amon-Ra or somebody like that. So it would either be the very tippy top or the end. Jacob says, Ladd doesn't have much target competition at the moment, but I'm not an expert. Jacob, you are an expert. You are absolutely right, my friend. Sedated Fork, which rookie do you think will that you will have the most shares of? Ooh, probably Rasheen Ali. I'm higher on him than consensus. We've known that since the Nerd Score came out. So I will probably have Rasheen Ali the most shares of him, and that's who I have the most of so far in my rookie drafts is Ali. But I have a decent amount of Benson too. I don't have a lot of early first. I have a couple leagues where I have some early first, but I don't have a ton of early first, so it definitely won't be any of those guys. So I'm guessing Ali, maybe Tyrone Tracy too. There's basically a glitch. I tweeted about it. There's a glitch on Sleeper right now. His ADP is in the 2000s, where he was just taking one pick after Ali, who I love, who's in the 300s. So there's a weird glitch on there for him to be that low. So he's screaming value. So I'm taking him at the end of the fifth every single time, where I think he deserves to be end of the third value-wise. So I would absolutely be hopping in and trying to take him. Jordan says, I'm dripping with sexiness. That's right, 100%, baby. All right, Jonathan Horowitz says, in a Superflex PPR tight end premium rebuild, 112, 204, and 305. I picked up Marvin Harrison Jr. with 102. I also have 203 and 206. So would I rather have 112 or 204 and 305? I'm probably sticking with 112, even though I don't think the gap between 112 and 24 is huge. 305 is not going to be enough to convince me. You get it into the second round because I noticed there seems to be a tier right there around the 212, 3-1. That's where kind of a new tier starts. So if you can get the second one in there, then I would do it. If not, I'm sticking with the 112. Klaus says he's trying to start a new league, 12-team Superflex tight end premium, 30 roster spots, 10 starters, trying to find a fun score setup that makes the league fun and engaging with lots of trading. I wouldn't say this is like the most unique thing ever, but I love the stair step. So half point PPR for running backs, full point for receivers, 1.5 for tight ends. That's one of the scoring settings I really, really enjoy right now. I think it kind of helps balance things out a little bit amongst the different positions and doesn't make those receiving guys that catch passes just ridiculous in their scoring. So that's one of the things that I really like. But there's tons of fun things you can do. Like when I did a startup, especially if it's with guys that you're getting together with, I love to pick up some like autographed pictures of guys and not tell people who they are. But if someone drafts that player, they get the autograph picture with it. So that's something I've done in a league before that makes it fun. Trading, I recommend getting like some sort of outside source to do like a league podcast for you that always generates trades and things like that. So there's a little fun things you can do to spice things up. Jake says, if you're at 1-4 with a real need at quarterback and superflex, does it make sense to trade up to 103 for Jaden or JJ and May comparable? I don't think you necessarily need to trade up, but it depends on what the cost is. I like Jaden Daniels. I think he's a very talented player, but I don't see the need to necessarily trade up unless it's a very reasonable, like, okay, I give you 208 to trade up. All right. I'll do that to trade up. I think that's worth it to get to Daniels, but I'm not doing anything more than like a mid to late second. Zach says, I know you mentioned at some point wide receivers that have a similar metrics that helps you predict a player like Burks was not going to be fantasy relevant. Are there any wide receivers in this class that match that? I love that you asked that question. I've had a couple people follow up with me on Twitter about that. And I mentioned Burks and Quentin Johnson past couple years, guys that I was kind of out on. I was not interested in because despite having the size, the height, they didn't have very good ball skills. And that was something that I was a bit concerned about. There's nobody in this class that fits that profile perfectly because some of the bigger receivers, Keon Coleman, Xavier Leggett, guys like that, really good ball skills. So I'm not worried about those guys in that sense. The closest one would be Troy Franklin in this class. I don't think he has amazing ball skills, and he doesn't do a lot to get himself open necessarily other than just be fast. So he would be the closest one that would fall into it, but he doesn't neatly fit into that category with N'Keal Harry, Treylon Burks, Quentin Johnson, these guys that are big physical receivers but lack good ball skills. They don't neatly fall into that. Laviska Shenault was another one that kind of fit into that category. All right, let's see. I'll try to get to as many of these as I can. At some point, we do have to get into this mock, but look, we're having fun. We're talking Dynasty. We're talking draft. Like, what's there to be upset about? But I will have to try to start flying through these a little bit. 1 QB, what do you do 103, 202, 203, 204? Would you do that for 105, 106, and 206? So basically, the big rub here is basically, would you rather have, man, that's a tough one. Because you get so many seconds, but those seconds are more like late seconds in super flex. So I would probably want the 103 in all of the seconds. I think the difference between Odunze and or Malik Neighbors is enough that I would rather have that. It's close. It is very, very close. But I think that's the route I lean right now. Mr. Bakeslaw said, what's up, homies? What's good, buddy? Pork Chop said, 10-team league, just got Leggett at 2-3. Glad with the pick and just wanted to share of him. Great pick. My guy, Stephen P. Dude's been crushing. I found out how many articles this guy wrote last year. He wrote like well over 100 articles. Well over 100, like 150 or something like that. The one dude was writing an article like every day and a half. It was really impressive. So if you're not following, I think it's at Coach Stephen P. You can post it here, Stephen, if not. But great follow on Twitter. Great guy, great writer for nerds. Jawar Jordan for me, a lot of the 410 to 412 range. Mr. Bakes a lot. What do you think of the QB room in New England? I feel like Joe Milton could take over ahead of Corral and May. Corral. I don't even think is he there? Maybe he just got picked up. I know they were going to get rid of Zappy more than likely. The problem with Milton is he's got crazy arm strength, but he's got no touch, no accuracy. So I would be very, very surprised if he was able to take the spot away from Drake May. 12-team super flex, no tight end premium. Start 10. Have A-Rich, Cousins, Breece, Bijan, London, Puka, Zay, Flowers, McBride. What would you do at 102, 103, and 109? I am getting the combo of Jaden Daniels and Marvin Harrison Jr. at 102 and 103. And that 109, my favorite pick at the moment is Xavier Worthy. But I could be talked into a few other guys. Jonathan Brooks is tempting as well. But Xavier Worthy would be the most likely pick there. How do I feel about Penix getting drafted that high? Do you think he could get a chance sooner rather than later, possibly as soon as next year, max 2 years? Exactly. I think we're looking at a 1 to 2 year situation that he will be sitting, which is unfortunate, but top 10 draft capital, this team has to figure out a way to make that work. Their careers are on the line. They invested a lot to make this pick. I'm in on Penix, and I think his ADP is way too low. My guy A. Copel saying ball skills. That's right, ball skills, baby. What sort of pick compensation do you want back to drop from 101 to 102? Superflex tight end premium 10 team. I want Marvin Harrison Jr. and I'm hesitating to pull the trigger on him at 101. I get it, and I can't blame people. Marvin Harrison Jr. truly, I think he is, we mentioned Brock Bowers generational, Caleb Williams generational. I don't think either one of those guys are generational. I do think Marvin Harrison Jr. is, though. So I can't blame anybody for taking him there. I still think in Superflex, Caleb Williams is my top selection. So I think that's the fun part is, like, either way at 102, I'm thrilled. Like, I'm genuinely thrilled at 102 either way. So all of that being said, it wouldn't take a ton for me to move back. You want to give me, like, an early second, and I'd be willing to move back. Jacob said, I'm getting excited about Leggett to the Panthers. Seems like the big boys like DK and Evans, 2020, 2021, when DK Canales was the passing game coordinator. Dude, I'm with you. I'm all about him. All about him. I've been seeing him go late second. Somebody even said they got him at 3-1 the other day. Crazy value on Leggett. Crazy value. What else we got here? Drop the Mic said, for sure, Steven is definitely crushing it. My man Ryan's here. Jonathan Horowitz saying, is he reserve? I'm guessing he's talking about Matt Corral or Coral. Brandon L., is it okay to take Odunze over May, JJ, and May in Superflex if you already have Burrow, Kyler, Caleb? I'm still big best available, but use your board. If Odunze is really the best available over May and JJ, then that's fine. I have no issue with it. I probably wouldn't, but I have no issue with it at all. All right, let's get into it. I am going to I got all this stuff on my screen. I got to clean it up, boys. We got to clean this up. This is getting ridiculous. All right, let me clean up my screen here before we get going on this Superflex mock draft. That's right. I'm going to just drop it in the chat. I'm just going to drop it in the chat, and we'll see how quickly everybody can get to a spot. That's really that's really how I'm going to do this. All right, let me minimize this a little bit here. Close. All right, let's see. We can make this a little bit bigger here. Bada bing, bada boom. I like it. All right. Let me go ahead and get the invite link. We're going to post it right meow. Right meow. We're going to post it. All right, here we go. Go ahead and hop in as soon as you're ready. I'll get to a couple of these real quick. Whoops. Matt asked, 10-team PPR Superflex, 15 starters, full rebuild. Team is basically just Richardson, Devontae Adams, and Jahan Dotson. I have overall picks 1, 5, 11, 13, 21, 31, plus 4, 25 first. How much should I be willing to pay up to move to grab someone around 1.6, 1.9 so that I can grab both Bowers and a wide receiver like Neighbors, Odunze, or Worthy to go with Caleb Williams? When I'm in rebuild, I want to make sure that I don't overpay for anyone. Did I not post it? Did I not post the link? Oh, I never actually hit send. Whoopsies. There we go. Now I sent it. All right. Posted that in the chat now. People can hop in. I was like, man, nobody wants to draft with me. So weird. Yeah, I don't like overpaying. So if you can do it for fair value, do it all day. But I don't like to overpay in rebuilds because you're just trying to acquire as much value as possible. So I wouldn't want to overpay. I have the 108 in a 12-team league with a half-point super or a tight end premium. Would Jonathan Brooks be too much of a reach over Brock Bowers there? I already have Kincaid as my tight end one. In a half point, I don't think it's as necessary. It's a tiny bit of a reach, but I don't think it's a terrible reach at all. Marcus says Pearsall or Leggett in PPR. I have Leggett one spot higher. Could go either way. Ryan says volume seems a little low today. Same for anyone else. I can talk louder. I can yell. Adam Sandler's in here. Man, Adam Sandler's drafting with us today, folks. It's going to be a good day and a good draft. All right, let's get into it. Let's start this draft. Let's start it. All right, Nolan is on the clock first while I take a drink. Ooh, I'm parched. I am parched. So some interesting things that I've been noticing in some of my Superflex mock drafts so far. I've been hearing a lot about Marvin Harrison going ahead of Caleb Williams, although I haven't really seen it. I saw it one time, but of the 9 leagues that have already started drafting for me, I have not seen it other than the one time. So curious to know if that's happening more often for you guys than it is in my leagues, because I've been hearing about it a lot, but I've only seen it the one time. So far, fairly chalk. Caleb Williams, 101. Marvin Harrison, 102. Jaden Daniels, 103. This is pretty consistent. And then Malik Neighbors. So 101 and 102 seem to be a tier. And then 103 and 104 seem to be a tier for people. So then at 105 is where things start to get a little bit interesting. So Josh takes Brock Bowers, which I'm sure he's thrilled to take him as a Raiders guy. He gets his boy Brock Bowers, so that puts me on the clock. And I get to choose. For me, it's close with Odunze. I do like him quite a bit, but it's between the quarterbacks. I'm going to go with Drake May here. I think there's a reason that the Patriots wouldn't give up 3 firsts to get him. I get it that JJ's in a better situation, but there are lots of possibilities ahead still for Drake May. Good quarterbacks raise the level of everyone around them. So I'm still absolutely in on Drake May, even though I know it is not in vogue. A lot of people are down on Drake May. I'm still a Drake May guy. All right, at 1-7, we've got McCarthy going, and then Odunze at 1-8. So that top 8 tier seems to have held strong here. Ladd McConkey at 1-9, Xavier Worthy, Jonathan Brooks. That seems to be another mini tier. Those 3 guys seem to always go with the first 3 picks in the next round, or in that next little group there from 1-9 to 1-11. So nothing overly surprising to me here. So then Marcus has the opportunity to go at 1-12. Lots of good players still on the board, some good quarterbacks, some good receivers. He goes Brian Thomas here at the next pick. Bo Nix, I know people are doing it. And I shouldn't say I don't have an issue with it, because obviously I do. I'm bringing it up. I don't get Bo Nix. I don't get the love for Bo Nix. I know it's that he's paired with Sean Payton, and Sean Payton is a good coach, and he's good for quarterbacks. I get that, but I just did not see it on tape. It felt like a team that panicked and needed to get their quarterback, the guy that they should have taken in the second round. They take in the first round. I don't know. I'm not buying it as much as everyone else is. I would take Penix even if I had to wait. I would be taking Penix ahead of him personally, but that's why it's not just my opinion. We have lots of great opinions. Dang it, Trey Benson just went. Great pick. Ricky Pearsall, Michael Penix at 2-3, and then Trey Benson at 2-4, and then Xavier Leggett at 1 or at 2.5. So that makes my pick trickier. I have been taking quite a few shares and going back and forth between these two players. But to mix it up, Adonai Mitchell is the guy that I would lean towards taking most often. But to mix it up a little bit, I'm growing. Like, Jalen Wright is growing on me a lot. The more that I'm thinking about a situation, the more I'm looking at it. I would have no problem taking Jalen Wright there, obviously. I took him. I would have no problem taking Marshawn Lloyd there. And I would have no problem taking, why am I blanking on who I just said? Adonai Mitchell there. I think all three of those guys I would be totally fine with. But to mix it up, I'm going to take Jalen Wright here. Keon Coleman goes at 2.7, Adonai Mitchell at 2.8. Coleman's a really interesting one. He's one that I think people are really, really split on. So let's get back to some of these questions. I've missed the last few. 1 QB shallow league. Is it okay to take Caleb Williams at 1.4 or take a wide receiver? I only have Derek Carr currently. I would not take him at 1.4. I would take a receiver. And then he should fall to at least the 108, 109 range. So I would wait on Caleb Williams. Nick says 1 QB, 101, and Kelsey for 102, 104, and 201. I think that is somewhat dependent on your situation because Kelsey's obviously for a contending type team. But I lean the 102, 104, and 201. As much as I love Marvin Harrison Jr. in 1 QB, you get the opportunity to take Malik Neighbors and Brock Bowers or Rome Odunze. And then at 201, you're probably getting a Leggett or somebody like that. So I would probably take that personally. All right. We had Burton, great pick at 2.9. 2.10, Lloyd, a guy that I was considering. Polk, who went in the second round. And then we have Ben, Sinat, or Sinnott, depending on your flavor. We've got Roman Wilson at 3.1 and Jatavian Sanders at 3.2. So at 3.3, our guy J.C. Parker is up. We'll see who he takes. Getting back to the questions. Might seem a little stupid, but... Oh, wait, did I skip one? I might have skipped one. Oh, Nick, where are you taking QBs in a 1 QB league? Yeah, I wouldn't start until at least like the 109, 110 range. Taking quarterbacks. Yes, this is super flex. Might seem stupid, but would you consider a 301 in a startup worth more than a 25 first? Yes, I think 103 in a startup is worth more than a 25 first, especially because you don't know where that first is. And at 301, I mean, there's some really good players. You might even be able to get like Jahmyr Gibbs or somebody like that at that point. So absolutely. If you're ever having a question on that, it's always good to go to the ADP, see roughly where the ADP is around that pick. Take 2 or 3 guys right around the ADP and say, would I rather have a pick or would I rather have this player? And that's a great way to kind of tell you what that pick should be valued at. All right. Lounge. Oh, I got to make a pick. All right. Blake Corum at 3.3. Malachi Corley at 3.4. Troy Franklin at 3.5, which puts me back up on the clock. I am going to take Javon Baker. I had a slightly higher nerd score on Javon Baker than I did Polk. Could easily be one of those situations where the second guy ends up being better than the first guy. I'm not necessarily projecting it, but it wouldn't shock me. So I'll take a guy that has a chance to ascend to the top of the depth chart for a team, which normally you don't get that in a third-round pick. Risk, sure. Worth it? I think absolutely. We have Ray Davis going right after, who has a really nice opportunity there in Buffalo. Bucky Irving, another guy that has an opportunity with the Bucks, so he could be a nice value pick as well. And Adam Chandler or Adam Sandler up next. So let's get back to some of these questions. Jacob asked, who went 111 and 112? Yeah, let me scroll back over for you guys there. At 111, we have Jonathan Brooks. At 112, we have Brian Thomas. Then Jalen Polk, Ben Sinnott there at 212. Lizard Lounge, hey Garrett, who's your favorite upside rookie running back between Braylon Allen, Bucky Irving, Will Shipley, or Dylan Laube? All right, if I have to pick between those guys, it's probably Bucky Irving. But if I'm allowed to go with a guy outside of that, it's probably Rasheen Ali. So, for what it's worth. Kong the King, 301 is round pick 25. Do you value a 25 first over a top 25 player, non-position specific? It's not really slightly for me. 301 is definitely worth more. All right, Matthew says, in a real Dynasty Superflex draft right now, someone took Neighbors at 101. What? Neighbors at 101 in a Superflex draft, a real one, not even just a mock where you're just kind of testing things out. That's wild. My boy Ali went at 312. That's a good pick, Marcus. Vidal at 311, and Washington, who I had I think he was my 11th rated receiver. So a really talented wide receiver, went to the Miami Dolphins. Fell all the way to the 6th, though, which was a bit of a surprise. Man, I am really surprised. Malik Neighbors at 1-1 in a super flex. I have not seen him go above 1-3 yet. Typically, he goes 104 or 105. So that's a surprise. Billy Banks says, I took Javon Baker over Burton. Just didn't see a path to heavy targets for Burton and Cincy. Did I make a huge mistake? I don't think huge, but I would have taken Burton personally. T. Higgins is more than likely not there next year. There's even a chance he could still be traded this year, although seems highly unlikely at this point post-draft, but not out of the realm of possibility since he has requested a trade, but he's on the franchise tag at the moment. I think he's gone. So a chance to be the number 2 wide receiver there next year. So I personally do prefer Burton, but I don't think it's a huge mistake. Jalen Warren said that the Steelers might use Justin Fields as a punt returner. What? I get that I was cutting the grass, but what did I miss? That's ridiculous. Jacob Parker said, can you clarify why considering Daniels over Williams may be a better pick in one quarterback leagues compared to Superflex leagues? Yeah, Rich made mention of this recently, and I don't necessarily have a strong opinion one way or another on this one. I'm fine going either way. The reason Rich said that, and I do think there's some legitimacy to this. The reason you would consider it is in one quarterback, one, you're not taking them nearly as early. So best case scenario, you're looking at 108, 109, more than likely right around the second round is where these quarterbacks are going to start going. And in one quarterback, it is not difficult to find a quarterback. Oh, man, I'm in a bad situation. Okay, I trade for Jared Goff. I trade for Matthew Stafford. I trade for Aaron Rodgers. I trade for some older guy that isn't valued as highly that can still put up a quarterback one season. But Jaden Daniels potentially has a slightly higher ceiling because of all of the rushing volume. So you take the risk on the guy that could have the higher ceiling in a situation where the position isn't valued as highly and you can play it a little more fast and loose. So that's why they make that comment, and I don't necessarily have any issue with it. All right. I am going to take I'm going to go with Will Shipley. I like to take running backs later. I don't love the landing spot and the situation for Will Shipley, but I do believe in him as a player. And if something were to happen to Barkley, I think he would be very interesting. So definitely a handcuff situation. Dang it, Ryan. Okay, I was going to take Tyrone Tracy here, and it was going to give me an opportunity to talk about this, but I'm guessing people have seen my tweet for the most part. Tweeted out earlier today, Tyrone Tracy is like the ultimate cheat code right now on Sleeper. Tyrone Tracy's ADP is in the 2000s. It's in the 2000s. He was taken one pick after Rasheen Ali, so he's in the 5th round. And everybody's hyping up Vidal, which I get why and whatnot, but he was a 6th round pick. So a guy that's going in the 3rd round even though he was drafted in the 6th round in real life, this guy was drafted in the 5th round earlier to the Giants, where there's just as clear of a path there as there is with the Chargers. And he's being picked in the 2000s. So, ultimate cheat code, take him in the 5th round of like every single draft you possibly can. Steven says, can we go into the 5th round for sleepers? Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll go into the 5th round here and draft some of those guys. So, Rasheen Ali, McMillan, Rattler, Stover, Walker, Garendo, and then I took Will Shipley at 4-6, 4-7. Ryan took Tyrone Tracy. We've got Brendan Rice, Luke McCaffrey. Got a 3rd-round guy in the 4th round. I always think that's good value. Audric Estime, Jordan Travis, and then Eric All to round out that 4th round. Dylan Lauby, I know he is a hot name at the moment, a guy that everybody's pretty excited about, understandably so. He ended up going to Las Vegas. Nice pass catcher out of the backfield. All right, let's see. Let's see. I want to make sure that I got to all the questions. Stephen Jr. said, I'm getting tons of Rasheen Ali in the 4th round, but his value is spiking, and so is Jordan Travis. Yeah, it is starting to go up a little bit. I think people are realizing that they're missing out. Matthew says, in a real league, neighbors at 101, Dynasty Superflex, I'm trying to package my 109 and 112 for the 1-3 right now. That or Purdy and 112 for the 103. I would be willing to do either one of those to get up and get myself either Caleb Williams or Marvin Harrison Jr. Crazy value. Crazy, crazy value. Love it. 12-team Superflex tight end premium start 10. I have Burrow and Herbert already. Not super high on Daniels, assuming Marvin Harrison Jr. is gone. Would you look to trade back from 103 or take Neighbors? If you're not high on Daniels, take Neighbors. I have no problem taking Neighbors there. But because you don't really need a quarterback either. And I don't draft for need. I draft best player available. But I can understand a situation where somebody would have Neighbors ahead of Daniels. I think they're in the same tier. I have no issue with it. So if you have him higher on your board, go ahead and take Neighbors. No problem there. But if you can trade back and pick up extra draft capital and still get a receiver you like, always a worthwhile endeavor. All right, Jacob, he said 12-team Superflex, tight end premium. Oh, I just read that one. Brandon says 1 quarterback, 12-team, half PPR, 311 and 104. Or sorry, 311 for 104 and 411. I already have the 404. It's going to depend on who's there, but probably the extra draft capital. Whoever's there at 311 is going to be the same type of player that's there at 10 or 401. So I would probably take the extra draft capital. Steven, yeah, we can go into the 5th round. Josh says, I think Shipley passes. Oh, think Shipley passes up Gainwell this year? I don't know. It's a good question. This is the last year of Gainwell's deal. So either way, he will be the receiving back of the future. Barkley's still going to be the main guy. He's going to get most of the work, but Shipley could carve out a nice little role. I don't know if it happens this year or next year, but definitely something to keep in mind. I just got auto-picked. Gosh, dang it. This always happens to me. I talk too much, and then I get auto-picked. So I took Jared Wiley, which actually I don't hate. So I'll leave it. He has a nice opportunity behind Travis Kelce. So, yeah, we'll leave it for now. Not a problem. Peter says, sent Jaden Reed and 211 for 108 before the rookie draft began. Netted Odunze and a 12-team PPR Superflex. Absolutely thrilled. Great job, Peter. I think that's a great, great get. Steven said that he thinks that he does. Gainwell has had his opportunity, and I even liked Gainwell. Is there such thing as a receiving back in Philly? Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know that that's even a thing. Saquon Barkley is going to do most of it, but if there was somebody that were to spell him in those type of situations, it would be a Will Shipley, I believe. Jacob said, thanks. What type of package would you be looking for to move back from 103? There's a guy with 107 in here. I'm going to switch off the board real quick. Well, we can go through it real quick. give you guys one last glance of the board. I know we don't go to this side as often, so that way you can see the rest of the draft board there. All right, let's get back into these questions here. All right. All right. What type of package would you be looking for to move back from 103? There's a guy with 107 and 202 that I was thinking could make sense. That definitely could make sense. I'd be curious to see who is still there at that point at 107. But, I mean, whether it's a quarterback, whether it's Brock Bowers, Odunze, there's going to be a really good player there. 202, you're going to be getting a guy. I mean, we just did a mock draft, so in that range, we had Ricky Pearsall go, Michael Penix go, Trey Benson go, Leggett go. You know, Brian Thomas is in that range. Sometimes I don't see Brooks falling that far very often, but there's some good players, so I wouldn't have any real issue with dropping back there and getting your guy. And then Pork Chop said I took his guy with the auto pick. I'm sorry, Pork Chop. I didn't mean to. It's not a bad pick, though. Honestly, I had no issue with that pick. All right. Stover or Wiley at 5'5", 12-team superflex. Ooh. I would take Stover. I think there's a clear path to earlier production, fastest ship to shore type of mentality there. I don't love one guy over the other necessarily. Travis Kelce just signed a 2-year deal, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon. So I would probably say Stover. Peter said, heard an argument that Penix before round 3 is crazy because you won't see him for 2+ years. Personally, I think anywhere in round 2 is reasonable. Which camp do you fall in? Peter, I'm with you 100%. And look, if you wanted to draft him at 112, I have no issue with it. If you today said, hey, I had to use the 112 pick on Jordan Love a few years back, are you okay with that? Yes, there might be some delayed gratification in that process, but he's not a player that's going to lose a bunch of value, especially after the Jordan Love experience. Now teams are seeing like, okay, man, there's a trend. There's a lot of quarterbacks that have sat. And does it always work out? No, but there's a lot of them where it's worked out really, really well. Patrick Mahomes sat a season. He's the greatest quarterback I've ever seen. Like, he's fantastic. Aaron Rodgers sat. He didn't bother him much. We had a lot. Carson Palmer sat. Or was it Yeah, it was Carson Palmer sat for a year behind John Kitna. Like, there are plenty of good quarterbacks that have had to wait a little bit, develop, get the mental side of the game down, and then they can hit the ground running. Michael Penix, I think, is an absolute stud. I think he has a cannon for an arm. I think he is in a situation where there are tons of receiving options that are really good on this team. And Kirk Cousins is coming off an injury and he's older. I like Kirk Cousins personally. I do. But that doesn't mean I can't like Michael Penix as well. Ryan said, any opinions on where Thrash fits on the Browns offense? So right now, the Browns offense is a little bit of a mess. You're hoping that he can somehow carve out a role as their wide receiver 3, but it's a really crowded spot for him right now. But he's a fantastic route runner. So is there a potential opportunity? Sure. But there's enough solid receivers there that it might be a little tricky. They just added Jerry Jeudy. They have Elijah Moore. They drafted Charles Tillman last year. So not Charles Tillman. Why can't I think the kid from Tennessee? Tillman. Whatever Tillman it is. Thanks. I figured I'd take a shot on a tight end with a bit of upside with my last pick. No problem with that. Hako. All right, 12-team Superflex. I have 101, 106, and 110. QBs are Lamar and Stroud. Should I take Caleb or trade back? Same guy has 102 and 103 and wants Caleb. Trying to get both those picks if I do make a trade back. Would love to make a trade back there because you can still get a good quarterback at 6. Or you could take Jaden Daniels with 102, 103. So maybe you trade 101 and 110 for 102 and 103. I think that would be a very Cedric. Thank you. Yeah. Sorry, brain fart. But yes, that would be a type of move that I would make. All it takes is one injury to Cousins, and Penix will be the guy. Then you'll be regretting taking Keon Coleman over Penix. Billy Banks, am I on an island thinking Audric Estime could take over in the Denver backfield? I mean, even if not this year, the kid is only 20. Yeah, this is unfortunately the wrong show for that. I am a big Javonte Williams guy. I know he had the ACL injury, but I think he's a very, very talented running back. And I'm not an Audric Estime guy. I did not like his tape very much at all. So I don't see him being super fantasy relevant ever. Even if he were to take that job over, he's a 2-down profile that just really lacked a lot of burst. So he had a very low nerd score for me. I'm not super high on the kid personally. Leggett or Benson in the middle of the second round of rookie drafts. Dan, you cannot go wrong. I love both of those picks. I'm leaning Benson at the moment, but you could really go either way. John said, if you have 101, 104, and know that if I go Caleb, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Neighbors are going 102 and 103, would you go Marvin Harrison Jr. and Daniels at 101 and 104 rather than getting stuck with Caleb and Daniels? I don't mind the kind of meta process of going next level on that. And look, it's up to you as far as what you want to do at quarterback. I am still a big proponent of best player available, but I can understand the logic there, so I have no issue doing that. Some guys reminded me Cedric is his name, so I do appreciate that. Billy said Benson for me all day long, and then LL Jacob, I feel better than if he pops. There you go. Jake says, how do you value 107 and 112 in a 1 QB PPR league this year? Are Ladd, Pearsall, and Keon Coleman reasonable targets? Yeah, those are very reasonable targets in that range. You can add Leggett in there. You can add Trey Benson into that range. Honestly, I don't even hate Adonai Mitchell in that range. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of really good targets. Brian Thomas in that range. So, yeah, there's a lot of good, talented players that you can get right around that same spot. Matt says 12-team PPR Superflex. Would you rather have 111 or 204 and 208? I already have 201 and 209. Matt, that is a good question. I would say I lean 204 and 208. Like, so if you look at our board right now, 204, Trey Benson, 208, Adonai Mitchell. And at 111, you got Jonathan Brooks. Jonathan Brooks is a stud. He's a really good player. But I don't think that there's a huge difference for me between a Trey Benson and a Jonathan Brooks. I think both guys are really talented players. I think both guys are going to basically have the backfield to themselves. So I don't have a huge difference between the two. So if I can add in a second-round pick, I'm probably going to do it. So I think that's a good value for the 111. Jacob said he feels Billy on having your guy. He felt the same way about Puka last year. Hey, bravo. Well done. Obviously, Puka just had that stupid good season. So definitely well done there. John said 12-team Superflex offered Rashad White, Evans, and Kmet, and I would get back Dak. Have Purdy, JJ, Deontay, Wicks, Ferguson, Ingram for starters, and the 112 in the 24 draft. Thoughts? I would absolutely take Dak for that. 12-team Superflex, quarterbacks are not cheap. Basically, you're giving up a 6th, 8th, and 11th round pick to get a guy in the 2nd round pick. So, absolutely, I would make that deal all day long. Matt says, I have 102 through 106 in a 12-team Superflex tight end premium rebuilder. I have Stroud, Chase Brown, Achane, Collins, Dell, Nakua, and JSN on my current roster. My plan is to take 2 QBs, 2 wide receivers, and Bowers. Thoughts? It's probably the route I would go as well. I have no issue with that. I would take 2 quarterbacks there. I think you can get 2 real good guys in that range. You're going to be able to get Jaden Daniels and then whichever guy you like more between McCarthy and May. You get Brock Bowers, who it's in tight end premium, makes perfect sense. Then you go to Dunze and Malik Neighbors. So I have no issue with that at all. I think that is how I would probably approach it as well. I'd be tempted to take the quarterback just because of the value that you could maybe then trade the quarterback for. So maybe if there's somebody interested in a quarterback, maybe look at trading out of the 106 so they can get a quarterback, and then you can kind of capitalize on that and get more value overall. But no problem with that. Ryan says, what do you think of the Colts offense this year? I think Mitchell is a great fit for A-Rich, but with them figuring out how to run the ball a ton and with a ton of good options in Pittman, Mitchell, and Downs. Yeah, so the Colts offense is going to be really good. Mitchell is perfect for Anthony Richardson. He is better than Anthony Pearsall in every way. He's faster. He's bigger. He's stronger. He's better route runner. Can high point the ball better. He can just anything that he could do, Mitchell can do better. Mitchell is an X. Like, I know they're going to play him at the Z because Michael Pittman is there, but he is absolutely an X all day long. All day long. I love that for the Colts. Now, do I love it for Mitchell? There's only so many mouths. Like, there's a lot of mouths to feed, and there's only so many footballs to go around. And so that's the thing. Is he going to be capped, in his rookie season at probably 65, 70 targets, and then after that, be lucky to push 100? So it is going to kind of keep him in that wide receiver 3 range for the foreseeable future, which that's the thing that is the biggest bummer of all of it, because I don't think that reflects on him poorly as a player. I think he's a really, really talented player. It's just there's only going to be so many passes to go around for Adonai Mitchell. Andre says 105 rookie pick if Marvin Harrison Jr., Neighbors, and Williams and Brooks are taken. Is this a super flex or no? Because I'm confused that Williams and Brooks would both go. Because one screams super flex, one screams 1 QB. So yeah, just let me know the format on that. Because Billy says Odunze, if it's 1 QB, which I would agree with. Odunze 1 QB, and then Superflex takes the court. Yeah, Billy's giving out sound advice. Giving out sound advice there. So I totally agree. Totally agree. Billy's spot on with that one right there. Okay. Mr. Bakeslaw said, what do you think of Slick Ricky Pearsall? What's the earliest you've seen him go in Superflex drafts? The earliest I've seen him go is 112. That's the earliest I've seen him go so far. Traditionally, I'm seeing him more in the 2.2 to 2.4 range is where he seems to be going pretty regularly. I like the kid a lot. It is unfortunate that the 49ers do still have both receivers, but it's similar to Jermaine Burton in the sense of I do think one of those guys will be gone by next year, and he's going to slide into that number 2 role. And the difference is with him and Burton is he has a chance to maybe be the one. Because if it's Ayuk that's gone, Deebo Samuel's a little bit of an older player, so he is eventually, going to slow down, especially he has a little more physical toll on his body with the way that he plays and playing a little bit of running back. So Pearsall definitely has some really, really good upside. So yeah, but 112 is the earliest, but 2.2 to 2.4 seems to be the most common range that I see him go. Santos says, any plans to bring back your old side podcasts for me a few years back. I actually am doing that this year. Unfortunately, it's a really good problem. So every time I put it out there, it sells out very, very quickly. And so I did put it out there about a month or so ago and was going to limit it to 25 spots. Ended up finally capping it at 35. But I can't take any more on right now. But once I get through the current batch that I have, I do plan on opening it back up again at some point later on in the year. Andre says I have A-Rich and Murray at quarterbacks. Thanks, guys. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, that kind of brings me to the end of the show. So much fun. Like just answering your questions, talking draft. We have some really excited things coming up. So, one, we're going to start having some guests on soon. So you're going to get to talk to some different people other than just me. A lot of our writers I want to bring on my boy Jared Wackley. We'll get Rich on sometimes, Matt on sometime. So we'll get more people on, and you'll have more opportunities to talk to more people. Two, we are going to be starting a second lunch break show. We're still trying to decide what day that's going to be. Likely Tuesday. Looks like it's going to be a Tuesday-Thursday thing. But the way it's going to work is we'll have the first half hour is going to be on just the normal stream, just like this. But the second half, and actually the entire thing will stream this way, but will be exclusive for the Nerd Herd members. You will only be able to get it on our Discord. So you only get part of the show if you're not signed up for Dynasty Nerds. So you'll get the whole show if you just sit in Discord. You won't have to like switch between the two or anything. You just sit in the Discord. You'll get it the whole time. We're still working out some of the technical things on how to make that work, but that is the plan moving forward. We'll be moving to 2 shows, so that'll be a lot more content for you guys, more opportunities to hang out, but specifically we want to make sure that we're giving some extra awesome things to the Nerd Herd because they absolutely deserve it for all of the ways that they help us out, help the show out, all of the different endeavors that we have going on right now. So appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us or me. I genuinely enjoy my time talking with you guys. So might be next Thursday, but maybe even as early as next week, we should have a second show coming your way. So if I don't see you on Tuesday next week, I will for sure see you by Thursday. So love you guys. Hope you guys have an awesome draft season as you are getting all of these rookies for your teams, and the best of luck moving forward.